Okay, so here we go with code practice 1 of lesson 4. Now we learned hopefully, how to create a list, an array, a 2D array, which is just a matrix with multiple parts to it. We learned how to manipulate it, add values to certain parts, certain elements of the list of each, whatever list we wanted to pick from. We've learned how to create one with random numbers. Then hopefully you were successful on quiz C. Excuse me. Quiz C is, the password, by the way, is bamboo, if you didn't get that. Now we're going to use code with algorithms for the 2D list. The code you create will allow you to create various sized matrices or 2D list, fill it with random numbers, swap rows, swap columns, find the sums, find the differences, and then we can easily just find whether we're doing a single row, we're doing every element in the matrix, whatever it might be. Okay, so hopefully after this, you're going to be able to code functions which build 2D lists from certain parameters, directions that you're given, and then process that data. So we're going to append, we're going to find, take values out, we're going to output things, we're going to swap rows and columns, swap rows and columns. So we're going to find the sums of row or a column. Okay, so it's going to start with, we've already been given a matrix A, an array, a 2D list that is A. And A is defined as this. Okay, here are our values. So if you were to press print, it would print these, obviously without the brackets and the commas. And then what you're tasked to do is to find any and all numbers, whether they're divisible by 5 or not. Okay, you're going to find all the multiples of 5, leave that number where it's supposed to be. But if the number is not divisible by 5, in other words, you're going to do a modulo, and if the modulo does not equal 0, then you're going to replace that value on the list with 0. So modular division, modulo, you're going to take, like the first number here, you're going to create a program, chunk or lesson in here. You're going to define an algorithm such that it says, okay, 34. Is 34 divisible by 5? Obviously, that answer is no. It has a modulo of 4. You're going to do exclamation equal, you're going to do 34% 5. You're going to pick each number here, and it's going to tell you, no, it's not equal to 0. So it's going to replace it with a 0. So that your answer is going to look, your first row, once you do this, not divisible, not divisible. Yes, it is. Not divisible, not. So your first row is going to end up looking like that. Okay, and this is simply going to be a couple of for loops and then a print. Anybody got a question? Okay, so we're going to use this by using indices. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write a for statement for R in range length A. Okay, for this, we're going to take each row, and then from that row, we're going to say, okay, for the column of that row, for C in range length R. So this is row 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's a 5 by 5 matrix, but we start our initialize with 0. We're then going to say, okay, for in array A, row 0, for the length of A and R, for row 0, column 0, because that's where we're going to start. If ARC modulo 5 is exclamation equals, means not equal to 0, colon. Notice the colons, which tabs everything over. Sorry, I'm running out of space here. What's keeping this from sliding? There we go. We're going to say for I in range length A, for J in range length A of I, we're going to print JI. Okay, so what's happening is, if when we divide, as I did here, 34 divided by 5 is a modulo of 4. So it's going to print a 0, and that's what that did. In I, in length A for J, it's talking about range. It's talking about I being our rows, J being our columns. And then we're going to print IJ, AIJ, end, and then print. Okay? So in other words, we're going to have zeros all over the place. 50, 40, 40, 45, 35, and 20 and 50 are all going to print, but everything else is going to be a 0. Okay, another long program makes you think a little bit, but at least they give you this to begin with. So you're just creating these for loops, and then you're going to print. Now notice this print's lined up with 4 because the colon, and then this is lined up here. Same thing with all these colons. It's tabbing everything over. That's where a lot of you are going to question me. This won't work. It's because you're not paying attention. Okay, I hope you have a great rest of the day.